Alright, g'day there. Back down the coast today and can hardly wait. Just trying to get some paint. Let's just undo this one. Oh. I'll just throw a couple of the darks in. So that's going to go in here somewhere. Now, like I've said before, you can put the darks on. It's easier to put the darks on first and then work out later on the lights on top. You can do it the other way around. You can put the lights on first, but with oil paint, with wet on wet technique, it's easier to put the darks on first and apply the light over the top. Alright, now just going to work out some edges here. I'll just use a little bit of blue maybe. Just going to do a little bit of drawing, a little bit of blue and white. All using just the palette knife technique, but at the same time, where do I want that to be today? That can be about there. Something like that. And this can come in like so. Let's just get that tape off. That tape there is just to give me a nice even horizon. I'll just rip a little bit of that off. Just to give me that nice even horizon, and I'll peel that off very soon. Alright, so let's establish the actual horizon itself. It's going to be, I'll make it a fairly dark tonal value. We're using a bit of burnt sienna with the cobalt blue. So there's not too much chromatic saturation in it because the burnt sienna is knocking it off a bit. Alright, let's have a look. Probably about right. We'll just put that in there. Once that's in, that tape's done its job and it can come off. Alright. Just add a little bit of viridian green to that mix. Yellow ochre, viridian green. A little bit of white. What do we got here? Just making it slightly more green. Put that in like so. Nice. Okay, so we can peel that off now. Let's get that off. That's done its trick, right. Alright, well that's all fairly good with what's going on there now. Just keep on drawing a little. I might just use a little bit of burnt sienna and white. Just trying to establish a few lines and edges and whatever draftsmanship I can come through in here for today that way. That one can run through there. Fairly simple composition today. Knock that back a little bit. I'm just putting a key down version of some of the wave in there right now, just to give me the feeling of what I want. There's a lot of the extra colour mixed in with that white to knock it back a bit, so it's a darker tonal value. Alright. Knock that in like so. It's kind of giving me the feeling of what I want there. This. Just trying to establish in my mind what I'm doing here. Right, so that's that. I might just have a look, see if I've got the composition flowing the way I want. Alright, always working with the biggest differences, you know, just whatever's the most obvious thing, throw it in. There's no set rule there. You can sometimes work with the distance, paint the sky first and then work up to the foreground, or you can just paint something that's very obvious, or if you're on location, something is about to fleet, something's definitely about to go, put that in next. Anyway, so I've got some yellow ochre and white and burnt sienna. What are we going to do? Let's have a look. I can go there and just establishing a few. Few of the things right now that I want to be in the picture. Just a bit more of that mixture. What do we got? A bit more burnt sienna with the yellow ochre. Establish that there like so. Alright, let's have a look. Let's just put in some of that sky, alright? So we'll obviously be going for a fair bit of white. I might just use some of those colours over here. Go white, go some cobalt blue. Throw the tiniest bit of magenta in. Trying to create a fairly neutral colour here. So I've got the blues, obviously, and the magenta, but that slight green from that water with the magenta are the two opposites on the colour wheel. So the magenta's the cooler colour, and sorry, the water is a slightly cooler colour. As soon as I throw magenta with that, it warms it up a bit and sends it to more of a grey. Let's just have a look. It's close on what I want. Now I'll come down almost touching the horizon. I'm not quite touching it yet because I don't want it to smudge just yet. But later on I'll probably bring them a little closer together. It goes in there lovely. Like so, nice. Got the big clumsy knife out, painting little refined edges there. It's usually the way it goes, isn't it? Alright, so put some of that in. A bit more of that there, a little bit more here, just feeling our way. Maybe there'll be a tad of it thrown in here. Oh, there's a nice unexpected spike of colour just then. That way. Alright, now what am I doing here? I'll just go a little bit of blue and yellow ochre. Just want to check if I was filming. Sometimes I start going gas bagging away and I haven't actually got the camera turned on. That's no good, is it? Alright, so that's yellow ochre, cobalt blue and white. Just going to go a little bit more yellow ochre to the side here, a little bit more white. That'll lighten the value and make it slightly more ochre. That looks about right, so that can go in there. Yeah. Just there, put that in. Nice. Alright, let's go up to that slightly more blue, just a little bit more blue as it goes up. That's that mix I did only just a few seconds before. Bring them together and blend them so that they're not too contrasting in the eye. Something along those lines. Getting there, yeah. What do we got here? That. Just throwing a bit of those blues in right now. Considering I've got them mixed up here, let's just put some in, shall we? That's nice. feeling my way through here. Where am I going to go down here? Like that. Alright, well that's working alright, so let's just go a little bit more blue and white, so the colour will be a little bit cleaner now, closer to blue and white. It's still going to have a little bit of the ochre in it, but it will be a much cleaner colour. Slightly put that in. What are we doing around there? We're going to go like that today, okay. Pull them together. Like so, blend, blend, blend. Bit of that can go in there while we're at it, eh? A little bit down there. A little bit down there. Right, let's go up a layer. More blue. Now I'm going to introduce a little bit of the warmer colour, magenta, a little bit of red, and a little bit of a darker tonal value than, oops, what are we doing? Than what we had in the lower part of the sky. So the lower part of the sky was more of these ochres, yellow ochre and whatever. As it gets higher, it's going more into the red, so I'm going to use magenta. So I'm just getting the right tonal value there. That looks about right, doesn't it? Well, that was a nice mark, wasn't it? That one was a good one. I like it when they come along. Just a bit of blending, eh? Just get that blended up nicely. Pull them together. Right, now just blend those colours into each other so they don't stare at each other. They're actually part of the one sky. It's just a slow blend as it goes up. Yep. Alright. Let's go a little bit darker, so I've introduced some burnt sienna with the blue, magenta, a bit more blue than that because we've lost the actual, I want it to still have some sort of blue feeling about it, but a much darker value. That's good, but I'm just going to add a little bit more magenta. Stick that in nicely. Nicely up to the edge there. Now it seems quite dark at the moment, but I'm pretty sure it'll work out. And if it's too dark, that won't matter. We can back it off later. Like I said, it's always easier to paint the lights over the darks. So you put a bit too dark, that doesn't matter. That does not matter. We just lighten her up later on. Get the edge all lovely. That paints right into the edges there. A little bit of extra magenta thrown in, whoops-a-daisy. That won't matter, that'll all blend in nicely and give a bit of variety. Mixing some of these blues that are a lighter tone of value in now. Getting a general feel. Just go a little bit darker up here. Something like that. We're starting to get a slight vibe. Alright, let me have a look, eh? Alright, that's lovely, but time to get stuck into something else now. We're going to move for the biggest differences. We've already got a fair amount of this sort of stuff roughly blocked in now. Let's just get into here and work with some of that. Right, so we go. Yellow ochre and burnt sienna. Tiniest twang. Maybe a viridian green. What have we got there? Fairly low key. Maybe just a bit of blue. I just want to lose some of the saturation, so I'm trying to grey it the tiniest bit at the same time. Feel your way in. At the moment I'm leaving bits of the linen showing through. I always like to do that. If you've watched my videos where I'm painting with the linen like this, if I can, I love to leave little bits showing here and there. It just seems to add an extra dimension. Alright, now going to add a bit of blue and magenta. Just trying to grey all this off a little and lighten the value so there's a bit more white. Let's have a look. Could go for a bit more sienna. Yeah. Righty. Alright, now I'm going to go for a little bit of this yellow ochre. Now I have got a few cad colours here just in case I need a little bit more sting. I might just throw a little bit of cad in, cad orange, a little bit of white. So we've got yellow ochre, a bit of cad orange. Lighten the value ever so slightly with a bit of white. We'll just leave that there for now. So, okay. Just in my mind, I just want to get it clear now because, like I said, I like to leave a lot of linen, so I'm just kind of looking a lot before I put too much. Change knives, change tacks. Let's go for a bit of that cad colour and a bit of the ochres. Bit of the blues. I'm trying to paint it a keyed down version again of a cliff. So it's not the full chromatic strength of the full oranges, it's more of a keyed down version. That's a bit too green, so burnt sienna and white. Yellow ochre again, cad orange. It's closer on what I want. I'm just blocking in bits here and there, feeling the composition. Yeah. Alright, I can see a bit of foliage now. Just quickly change tacks. We'll go from yellow ochre. I've run out of yellow ochre, hang on. Quickly go get some yellow ochre. Now I'm going to use a bit of a tube because I've run out of that beautiful cylinder, unfortunately. I have to get more of that. So there we go. Some yellow ochre. Bit more of the yellow ochre and the burnt sienna. We're filming again, good. Yellow ochre, burnt sienna, viridian green. Just lightly touching, just knocking a little bit of foliage here and there, you know what I'm saying? Just a little bit of foliage managing to survive on the edge of that cliff. Throw some of it in there. Put a nice little bush here, eh? Struggling there. What I'm going to do is get a little bit more of that yellow ochre and white and start adding a little bit more to the water again. So we've got some cobalt blue, yellow ochre and white. Pretty much getting that sky greenish sort of colour again, but that's going to be more in the reflections here. Paint that into there. Let's go a bit more white and a bit more blue. Just subtly varying the tonal variances as I go. Just making very subtle changes, adding a bit more blue and a little bit less yellow ochre. That can go in there. Just pull through. Right, what do we got here? Now this will be there. Now sort of mimicking the cliff. It's a slightly keyed down version. Good downward marks like so. Good blending to soften it. You can use little marks like this and then you can pull straight through after you've done that. These are all different knife techniques that you can use. Okay, change tack a little, we'll go for some white. Some of these colours, throw them in there, just trying to knock it back a bit so it's not pure white. That'll be there. Like so. Yeah. Wet sand. Just blending them together a little bit at the moment. Let's just go a little bit cleaner here. Pull that in, that's it. Sand, just a bit more of that colour. Mix that brown colour in there. And I'm going to get this sand lovely and soft. I want it to be very well blended by the end of the picture. So it's contrasting dramatically against that chunkier version, which is the cliff. So it's all about contrast. So paintings are all about contrast, and so in this area here I'm going to contrast dramatically by super soft, super soft. I'm doing little marks to help pull it together, and then you can pull big marks through that. Alright, that seems to be working, I guess. Just going to pull that through there a little. Soften that a bit. Alright, what are we doing next? Let's just get a bit of white. Knife on edge. Just going to feel a few of the waves in, just feel them in. so. Stick a little bit in here again. Now at the moment I'm not using pure white, like I said, I'm using slightly keyed down whites. I'll get stuck into pure white when I feel like I want a good accent. At the moment this stuff's fairly low key. And that's it. A little bit more of the wave action. Let's go some white. I'm going to actually paint some of the clouds now. So I left a little raw linen here and there for the clouds, but now I'm also going to just refine the tonal value a little by using a bit of burnt sienna and magenta and white, with a few of those blues that are lying around. So you got the magentas, the whites, let's have a look. Magenta and burnt sienna. Burnt sienna is a nice colour for that sort of thing. And you've got a little bit of the cobalt blue thrown around that's already there. Just throw a little bit in here and there to give the feeling of different cloud formations. Wipe that clean. I might just soften by pulling the knife through. That helps soften clouds, and clouds, as you know, are very soft things. Now, of course, there's going to be different bits here and there. So let's just go a bit more burnt sienna, maybe. Just throw a bit of that cloud cover in here and there. Keep it nice and soft. Alright, there we go. Now, just soften a bit more with little marks here. Pull them all together. Like I said, once you've softened like that, then you can clean the knife and pull straight through once you've got a good blend. And you get a real super soft look. But I just want a little bit more chromatic saturation in there, so I'll just add a bit more of that. Alright, things are starting to come along a little. Now what I'm going to do is mix it up a bit with a bit of white. Cad yellow. Let's just see what colour I get with that. I'll have to go for a slightly different yellow. Let me have a look at this. Just put that in. About there. Not too bad. Go for a bit of orange now. Let's go for a little bit of orange. And white. Not too bad. Might just go for a bit of red now and white. Yes, let's go for some magenta and white. Now magenta might need a little twang of blue in it. A little bit of blue. Let's have a look at that. Yeah, slightly darker value. There we go. All right, now get some Viridian green and white. Fairly high key. A little bit of cobalt blue, white. Going through the colour spectrum as you go off. Starting off with the yellow in the middle and working your way out as you go. Finally getting to magenta again on the other side. Put the orange. I'll blend that in a minute, we'll just stand back and have a look. It's kind of what I wanted. Let's just have a little bit more orange. Just blending it a little, eh? Let it go off into the heavens. Well, that's all well and good. I think I'll just intensify some of this cliff face now. So I'll work with yellow ochre, bit of cad orange. I just want it to get a little bit higher key, more like the sun striking it, if you know what I mean. Bit of cad yellow even to help pepper up a bit. Have a look. That's a nice strong colour. That's good. Just in areas where you feel like the sun's really striking. So right, that's all sort of working. Let's just try and get a little bit more light in the surf now. We'll go for some white. Some of these warmer tones. Just want to get the light kind of licking. Licking the tops of the waves as it does. Just a bit here and there. Just put that in. Take some away in a minute. We'll just put some in for now. Alright, now I'm starting to introduce a little bit more colour and enriching things up a bit. So we've got yellow ochre. I just want to get this sky pepping a bit more yellow ochre and stuff in the sky, get it to jump a bit. Oops, what am I doing here? Clean the knife. A bit more yellow ochre, white. Some of those rich colours in there. So, pull them through here, put them in there. pull through. Wipe the knife clean, get a new piece of paper towel, a bit of paper towel, and get this knife, really pull it soft. The downward marks really add to the reflection. Just a little bit of accent and highlight here and there. Alright, well I think that's pretty much it now. So I've actually taken a bit of time off, get my mind off the job, go outside into the garden and done a few jobs that need to be done out there, out in the permaculture garden. And now I come back in with a fresh eye and I could see that I needed to do a few things. So what I did is not too much, I just played up on these waves a little bit more, finished them off a bit more, but at the same time gave them a little bit more spontaneity with flash sort of vibrant marks to give the feeling of movement. Because the waves themselves are not stagnant, they've got a bit of movement. I wanted to really thrash it around and at the same time really play up on that late afternoon light. So you've got the light striking the hill here, the cliff face, and it's casting across the breaking waves. So I wanted to play up on the light source in the foam. I was using the white and the cadmium colours, and then in the shadow source of the foam I was into the cobalt blues, and that sits next to each other and they really jump in your eye. So played a little bit of that up and finished off and add more motion in it. Now when it comes to contrast, the wet sand itself got the palette knife and really flattened it so it's absolutely smooth, because I wanted to contrast it, because wet sand is very much like porcelain. It's got an incredible smoothness, as you know. And the cliffs themselves are made out of rock, so they're big and chunky and whatever else. So I really wanted to play up on the fact they're chunky rocks. So I really thickened the paint up and boom, 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 applied it quite thickly. So there you've got that contrast between porcelain smooth with only a palette knife and then thick and chunky. And that, I believe, all contrasts tend to add to a painting. So you've got the contrast between light and dark, the contrast between warm and cool colours, the contrast between thick and thin, and in this case the contrast between incredibly smooth application and big chunky blocks. Pretty happy with what's going on there. With the rainbow itself, I applied the paint, as you saw. I put each colour in, but then at the same time, because the rainbow is this kind of elusive thing that's translucent, got the knife and really flattened and smeared it off once the paint was there. It's a bit like putting the paint on and then taking it away again, just to make it like an echo of the thing, and that's pretty much what rainbows look like. So happy with the way that's been applied. On the whole, pretty good. So what I reckon, we just get that camera off, bring it right in so you can have a close look yourself at the different textures and the way the paint's been applied. All right, thank you.